Hey everybody, today we are going to learn how to create floating shelves in a space where you have three sides. Not actually floating, because I am going to have it connected on either side, but it gives the same effect. So it's going to be as simple as creating a ledger strip on here, creating the tops and bottoms, and then putting that front and mitering everything. And I'll show you a couple tips and tricks here, but it's a simple project. Hopefully this helps you out on your closet build or any type. First thing that we're going to do is I already determined how high I want my shelves in here. Megan's going to have purses and stuff on this because this is going to be her closet. I want to have them a little bit taller, so I decided that I'm going to have my first shelf center of that on this line going across here. It'll come out about 12 to 15 inches. So what I do is I measure 35 inches. So I'll need to cut some pieces of plywood to make a ledger strip. And it's a 1/2 inch material. I'll cut 2 strips so that it's just a little bit more substantial for that top and bottom to be able to tack into. So really it makes it pretty simple. So I'm gonna do a 2.5 inch shelf here and a 2.5 inch shelf there. And it's gonna look really nice. Let's go ahead, I'll show you how to do the ledgers. Now that we have our ledgers created, I just took an extra piece of 3/4 inch material that I had and ripped it to 1.5 inches because I'm gonna have an inch or a 1/2 inch under and a 1/2 inch below, so that makes my 2.5 inch shelf. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put my ledger strips into place, make sure it's level. Make sure it's center on the line, otherwise my eye is going to freak out. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm just going to take my, use a little bit of heavier gauge because it's bearing weight. So there's that first one, and we're just going to install the others. And then what I usually do is I'll take my level and throw it so that it's, there we go. Perfect. That one, and the last one here. Again, I'll take my level, throw it on the corner. Okay. Okay, now what happens is, oops, let's just double check that. Mark up there. That's our first ledger. So I'll do the same process, 3 shelves up, good to go. So now that our ledgers are in place, what I do is I need to find what my width is from this point on the wall to this point in the front and the back. This is an older house, that back wall I know for a fact is out a little bit. So this is looking to be about 34 7/8. And that is also closer to 34 3/4. So it seems to be coming in a little bit like that. An 1/8 of an inch isn't a big deal. So we're gonna start cutting our plywood down. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rip the plywood to the thickness that I want, the length. I'm actually gonna leave it a hair long because I'm going to be scribing the back side of it to the wall. And that gives me a little bit more material to mess with. So here's how I do that. Okay, so first, bottom and top are complete. You can tell they're really snug My back wall is not actually out as far as I thought it would be, so I did not need to scribe any of this, which is awesome. We ended up being about right at 35 inches in the back and 34 inches and 7/8. So an eighth of a difference from front to back, not difficult to do. The next step that we do to create our face is, after having both of those there, I have a 2.5 inch shelf of which I have to cut both sides miter to fit into there and sandwich between there. I will glue that, and then I will shoot 18 gauge pins into it to brace it, and it holds just fine. So, easy enough. What's up? So we've made a 2.5 inch piece that is 2.5 inches here, and you can see here that it fits like a dream. Perfect. So now what I will do is that is really ready to be done and set. I will anchor my top and bottom. Then I will throw glue on both of these miters. Push it. Also throw in some 18 gauge nails or pins, and we'll be done with that first shelf. Right, so the next step is we're going to secure the top and the bottom shelves. I'm just using little 18 gauge pins. So we are gluing the miters for this. It can get a little bit messy, but that's okay. The more the merrier. I haven't used this glue before. It's that newer Titebond. It's like the thick one. It is pretty thick. It's not nearly as runny as the other glue. It almost feels like caulking, but it should work well. So the goal is to have a little bit of squeeze out when I place this, and then that way when I put it on and I'm tacking it on, I will then roll the miter with like a screwdriver or something metal. So we're gonna go ahead and place that. Red. Tell me that. Okay. So now that we have that glued in, I'm just going to throw a couple nails into it. Alrighty. There she blows. First shelf is in. And then after I do that, I'll just take something with a rounded edge, and I will roll that miter. And then after I sand it, that seam totally disappears. Go. And don't worry about the glue. When we sand all that, that'll come off and the stain will be on there and it'll be perfect. So that's how you do your shelf. We're just gonna do the same thing up top, and hopefully that helped you. It's solid. It's perfect. What do you think, Finn? Good stuff? Good stuff? Good boy. guys, so the shelves are in, nice and tight. No need for any caulking whatsoever. And that's the whole goal. So now I will take my stain it, and then touch up any areas so I'm not painting up to it that may have gotten scratched or bumped. But overall, this was fantastic. Okay guys, shelves are in. The last step is our finish. For this, I'm just gonna be using a Minwax Puritan Pine. It's really just kind of a natural look to it. We love it. And we'll just dip that in there. And I usually always apply with a rag. And there's a nice, rich color. If it gets on the wall, the nice thing is I'm going to be, there we go. I'm going to be repainting it, my final coat. And B, it wipes off, so it's not really a big deal.